Hello and welcome. I'm so excited today because I get to show the finished stacked envelope junk journal. And it's been a fun project to work on, so if you've been following along, welcome back. And if you're new to my channel and would like to see the first 4 installments, we went through just how to build the basic journal and then different fun projects that are within the journal. And you can find those under the playlist marked junk journals. So today I wanted to show how I finished it out and then kind of go through the whole thing, and there's a really fun surprise at the end, so I hope you'll watch the whole thing. When I started doing this, I had no idea I was going to be having my own YouTube channel. And I had just been watching different videos, learning about junk journals and art journaling and mixed media and all that kind of thing. And there are so many talented, creative people out there that do great videos. So I just first of all want to say thank you, because you've opened up a whole new world to me. I really appreciate it. And I'm just kind of enjoying myself in a different way. I mean, I've always been creative and mostly worked on jewelry before this, but it's always fun to learn new things, so I really appreciate it. And I kind of never thought I'd be doing my own channel, so I wasn't really good about paying a whole lot of attention to saving like the links and videos that I was watching to learn all these things. So I'm gonna really try to go back and see if I can find some, because there were a few that I learned things that I used in this journal, and they did really great tutorials. I'm going to try to go through those things too, but you know, I'm new, so I want to try to put theirs in the links, and from now on I'm definitely going to keep track of that kind of stuff. But when I first did this project, I made this one that I'm doing for myself, and it was from a tutorial by Robin Dudley Howes, and I do follow her, so I'm going to find that one. I put it in the first episode, but I'll put it again in this one. And you know, since then, whenever you do anything on the computer, all kinds of similar things pop up. So I have now learned that there's all kinds of tutorials out there for envelope journals and that kind of thing. So you'll find all kinds of stuff out there, but hers is a really good. She does kind of a craft along way that she does her videos. So that's how I started. I actually did that first one with her. And then I realized it wasn't going to translate well to just do it in photos and descriptions on my Facebook page. So that's when I got to doing the video, and it kind of went from there. And I decided to do the second one so that I could do kind of a tutorial myself with some of my own ideas, you know. So anyway, we started, as you know, with a file folder to make the main part of our book. And I didn't finish it. I finished this part last night. So from the first one that I did following Robin, I decided that when I did this one, I wanted to do the inside paper on the journal first, because it would be easier than after I have all this bulk on the front. So I did do it that way, but for some reason I didn't think to do the back side, because I could lay it this way, and so it wasn't really hard to do. And I kind of wanted to see what paper I might want to finish it out with. But I think if I would have laid that all out, it's because I used Vellum, it still would have been easier to do it beforehand. I had chosen Vellum on this one because I kind of thought if this book turned out well, then I might want to give it to somebody. So I kind of took it from there. It took on a life of its own. It became very special to me, and it is going to a friend. So I kind of geared everything to her as I went along in the book. When I went to choose the paper for the back last night, because Vellum was this was the only place I had used it, I decided to do that on the back too. And I found one out of the same paper pack that was So Me, because this one is So Her. And if you know me at all, I have a huge collection of natural nests, and I play the piano, so the music paper with that was perfect. So I did that simply on the back. And then for the inside, if you saw my very first video, I had used all mixed media paper in that first journal that I did, and I had mentioned I wanted to try one with just different papers. So I had coffee stained a bunch of different papers, and so each page is one of those different papers. So it's kind of just a whole variety of things, and I really like how that looks. I'll be doing one for myself like this too, because I like the mixture of papers. Now, when I first started, I knew nothing about bookbinding. And so I watched a video that I'm going to try to find because it was a really good tutorial, and I'm not even sure I remember who did it, but I think I follow her now, so I'm going to go look for it. But basically, when I started my YouTube channel, because I'm brand new, I thought I really want to focus not only on the project, but on the tools and the terminology, because I was watching all these videos that kept referring to signatures, and I knew they weren't talking about signing the bottom of a letter, but I really wasn't sure what they meant by that. And so this one video I watched was perfect because it explained everything to a new person. So I'm going to kind of approach it that way as well. So when I also love tools. So every time I order, you know, I'm buying all this new stuff because this is all new to me. And so I found this kit for bookbinding because I had never done bookbinding before, and I'm going to find, I'll put the link on under the description, along with, you know, the paper packs I used and all that kind of stuff, and the links to the other videos. But basically, this was a kit, a bookbinding guide kit from We Are Memory Keepers, and that's the same company that I finally found the corner punch that I liked. So I think their products work well, and so I'll put the link to that. But this one, it was really nice because it came with a guide that will show you how to do saddle stitch, which is kind of what I did, simpler version on this, and then Coptic stitch, which is this one, and then these several different Japanese bound ones that I can't wait to try those, that are some decorative stitches. And basically it had a little booklet that came with it that shows you all of them, but on these little holes here, it'll show you a color guide. So for this stitch, you would use these holes to do your punching in your pages and in your cover. So I haven't tried those yet, but I can't wait to do that. And then it came with a little pouch for all your stuff. And then it came with some wax thread and a straight needle and a curved needle. And then the awl that you use to punch. And this awl is a little sharper than the one I was using, one from my jewelry stuff. But anyway, so if you don't have these tools, this is kind of a nice way to get everything that you need. So when I watched that first video about bookbinding, like I said, I didn't know what anything was called. And so I'm just going to show you with 2 pieces of paper here how to do an easy thing. One of the things that she did was she used a couple of clips so that when you put your corners together here. So imagine these are my pages. She just lined up the corner and then put a clip here. And did the same thing on the other side. Okay, and then kind of press down. That way these don't move and your pages are all lined up. And then she used a bone folder just to crease that down. Now she may have been the person that told me that you can use, if you don't have a bone folder, I can't remember if it was her or not, but anyway, I thought this was a great idea. So you do that on all your pages. Now, if you don't have the clips and you're impatient like sometimes I am, you can just do it by hand. So you just want to make sure you hold those real well. And that's that. So I'm just going to do this one with 2 pieces of cardstock. So basically, a piece of paper folded in half like this is called a folio. And then you take multiple folios and put them together, and that is a signature. So when I did the tutorial that I watched, it was basically a beginner's tutorial, I think, and it was how to put multiple signatures together to bind a book that would then open totally flat so that it was easy to work on for your mixed media pages. So that's why I made this one. And when I did it, I mean, you can see the paint and stuff has already gone through because I didn't put tape down the center, which is what you want to do if you're working with mixed media, because all there's so much water and liquid involved, it just goes through and ruins all your other pages. So that was my first This is the first one I did, so I'll make sure and put tape on all the other ones, otherwise they'll bleed onto this one too. So anyway, I just wanted to show this was the one that I had done to learn about signatures and folios and putting them all together. So I'll find that video because if I can, because that one is much more extensive than what I'm showing you. Now the other thing is, so if you have this tool, you can use this, and I just want to show you quickly just so you see how it works. So this is kind of like a little angled trough here, and this is for the saddle stitch. The other stitches you would use this one, and like I said, I haven't tried those at all. So I'm just gonna kind of put this so that it's in the middle in between these two holes. And this will just hold everything tight together. And then I'm just gonna go, you know, maybe here and punch and do the same thing on the other side. And then find kind of the middle. And it's that simple if you have this tool. So that makes it really easy, but of course not everybody's going to get going. If you're going to do a lot of this, you know, I just love tools, so that's me. But I actually didn't even use this to do the one last night because I had already, when you have all those stacked envelopes on there, you can't fit the cover in here. You can only fit the pages that you're doing in there. So I have my 3 holes. So when I did my book, I did 3 holes. You can do it with just 2. I did 3 because some of my papers are real short. In fact, one of them in here is even just a brown paper bag that's I've ironed. Where'd it go? You know, so they're not all the same length. So I ended up needing to have that center hole because it wouldn't catch it on here. So when I did that, I actually just used, I think in the tutorial, she used like a folded towel so that you'd have something to punch through and wouldn't punch the top of your table. I keep my ironing board set up all the time. So I actually just put it on my ironing board and measured. I measured 1 inch and 1 inch and then the center and punched my holes. And then did the same with the paper. So that worked out fine. And then the next thing you do is sew it together. So you have to imagine that I have my cover here. And for my book, I used, because I've been using that kitchen string that I dyed that I love so much, I just took one of the plies of my kitchen string and I used that. So for this though, I'm just gonna use regular button thread or upholstery thread. It is a little heavier than your regular sewing thread, but you can use twine or anything, and you just measure like 2 lengths of your book. And then a needle. And in some of those where you're pulling them really tight, like the one where I put the multiple signatures, you actually would double this and tie a knot at the bottom. This one I'm going to tie in my book, so I'm not going to do that. And wherever you start your hole is where your knot's going to be. So you might want it to be on the outside for this because I'm going to make a bookmark out of the remainder. I left it on the inside at the top. So you could start it in the middle or wherever you want, but I'm to the back of the book now, and then I'm just going to go through the middle. Okay. Oops. And then I'm going to go through the bottom. Okay. Now I'm going to go back through the middle because I have thread here. And then the only place I don't have thread is where I end up back at the top. And then I'm going to even it out and tie a knot. And that's your little booklet. Okay, easy, easy. So on mine, I decided that I wanted to use that kitchen twine, and I started at the top, and instead of 2 lengths, I did 3 because I wanted enough to be hanging for a bookmark with a little tassel on it. And then here's another little trick. So I don't know if you can see this. I wanted to use this really cute little bird bead, and it had a hole that went through its body, but it was too small to fit those 2 pieces of twine. And even if I could have fit those, the needle that I was using, the eye of the needle was too big to fit through the bead. So what I did was I used a bead reamer. So if you do jewelry or craft stuff, you might have this tool. I used a bead reamer to make the hole a tiny bit bigger, but then it still wasn't big enough. And actually, if you don't have all the bookbinding stuff, you can actually use this as your awl too, to poke a hole in your pages. But I did that, and then I have this little trick that I came up with for my jewelry making. Sometimes I'm using such tiny beads, and even when I'm using a really fine thread, the eye of whatever needle I'm using won't fit through the bead. I have these little collapsible wire needles that you use for beading, but even some of those, it's too tiny. So what I came up with was make a needle out of your thread. So how I did that was I thought I just need this to be stiff so that it'll go through my bead. So I used bead fix, which is basically super glue, and it dries almost instantly, and it dries really hard. So I just took my kitchen string, and I had to do them separately because I couldn't even do them together. And I just did each one with the bead fix, so it made it a stiff point. And then even if you can't quite get it's still not small enough point, you can take your scissors and actually, cut that at an angle so it's even tinier just at the tip. So I did that, and I was able to get them both through that bead, and then just tie a little knot at the end for a tassel, and then just kind of took all the little plies apart. So that was just a little turn a thread into a needle tip. So now I have all my pages ready to go for journaling. And then when you sewed those in, it now created my 2 pockets up here too. So you have 2 pockets at the top. So now for the fun part. So in all the other tutorials that I did, you can see how to put the bones of the book together. And then I did some mask making of things and different ideas. So I would do maybe a page or 2 and then do a tutorial. So you'll find them there if you want to see all the fun stuff. So just to quickly go through everything, basically the front's made with 6 envelopes, different sizes, and so they're going to alternately open on each other here and have all kinds of pockets and fun places to hide things and put little notes and tuck little photos and all kinds of stuff. So first I had done some little tags, and I mass made these with a tag punch, and you'll see the tutorial, but then I made little window envelope for them, 2 little pockets. And then here I made little checkbook style notepads with the coffee stained paper and a little pocket for tags, some journaling tags. You'll see that, I think that's in the 2nd or 3rd one. And then this inside pocket, I did little mini file folders, and I mass made a bunch of different sizes of those, and some little bookmark journaling cards. And then this side, I did a little antique skeleton key and a little key tag that I had made. And then when I mass made the tags, I had some of them that were swivel on brads. So I had a little secret place you could write something there. And then inside this one is a little mini file folder. And the papers that I used for the journal pages were little French Valentine postcards that I had scanned and printed and then coffee stained and then cut them back apart to fit into the little folder. And then this side I wanted to just kind of look like a pressed dried flower, so I just left it plain with no pockets, but just kind of made it look like dried flower. And then this one, I had taken one of the mini file folders and folded it over and made it into a pocket for another tag. And then this envelope was a pocket, so it has another pocket inside. So this one I had torn a piece of cardstock And then I made kind of a belt with a piece of ephemera as just kind of a tuck. And then I wanted to be able to write on the back, so I used, if you use the elementary school lined paper, it's a little thicker than just the regular typing paper weight. And so this was nice to be able to write on it, plus it was sturdy enough for a pocket. And then I just added another piece of coffee stained paper. And then the back side of that, I just did another little window pocket. I didn't put anything in this one because I wanted to see the little flowers through there. And then used some Tim Holtz ephemera from Field Notes collection. There was a perfect theme for this, so I did this. This was actually just off of another just actually recycled piece of something. I just liked the font and what it said, so I cut it out and did that. And then another fun thing that I like to put, like, I save quotes and poems and that kind of thing. Well, the friend that's getting this book, she had actually sent me a little book because I collect all kinds of stuff, but one thing I collect are miniature books. And probably, I was like the early 90s. She always does these wonderful gift baskets with all kinds of little things that are so thoughtful. And this one little book I remembered was called Flowers for a Friend. So since I was doing this for her and it's a vintage garden theme, I wanted to take those poems and use them in this book. So I just took sticker paper that you can buy. I think I just found this at Walmart. And it comes in, this is just matte white sticker paper that you can run through your copier. It also comes in chalkboard paper, so you can like do chalkboard labels and then write on them. So I used the white for this one. And I just typed them into my computer and then printed them out and tore them out and did the aging, and then they're stickers, you just stick them on. So that worked out. And then this was another of the, it's actually 3 pieces. This is 3 different flowers, but I wanted them to look like a garden. So I put them all together there. And then I had taken some paper clips that are just your regular paper clips. You can find them in gold, but even in silver they'd work to rust them out so they looked aged. So I like little metal things on here too. And then this was a fun thing. So I knew when I got to this size envelope that I wanted to do like a fold out thing. And I had actually made another card for in here, but because my other part ended up so thick it wouldn't fit anymore, and it was already sewn and finished. So I ended up just putting something simple, and I didn't have room to bulk it up too much in here. So I just did her garden, and it had a little paper, a little music paper. So I added some music washi tape, and then this she can write on or add pictures or whatever. So it made a little garden page. So this was the fun part. So I decided, I knew I wanted to put some photos in here. And when I had that 49 Market paper pack, I had used that for some of the flowers that looked like pressed flowers. Well, it had this one page that I saw that looked to me like an antique photo album tattered cover. So I knew I wanted to use that, and it was just the perfect size for this card, this envelope. So I used my scoring machine, my scoring tool on my cutter, and just scored that flap. And then I used eyelets, and I did 3 so that I can do it like an old photo album would have been bound, and used some organza ribbon. So then it opened to my photo album. And I went and I just used cardstock. I rounded the corners and scored those too. And then I took off of her Facebook page, because we're friends and I knew she wouldn't mind, I took some of her vintage photos and did them on my copier. And then I actually made them into stickers and stuck them on cardstock because I wanted them to be a little bit thicker. And then just used photo corners to put them in. Except for, you know how old photo albums have, like, there's always something taped in there and the tape gets old. So I just cut up a little piece of washi tape and taped this one on just to make it be different. And then I had this tape that had phrasing on it, this washi tape, and it was just, it was perfect. It just says, "Smile from you, would make any whole world bright." And it was just, you know, kind of a fun thing for photos. So I added that, and then I'm leaving these pages blank so she can add photos, and then a little pouch with some photo corners for her. And this little pouch, I got this idea from someone else to use these they're little mini CD pouches. So they're nice clear plastic, and I just used clear double stick tape to stick it on. But it's just a nice little envelope that you can see through. So if you wanted to do a journal and just, you know, when you're making these, even if you're making them for yourself, you tend to go and like collect all the theme of the book that you're doing. So you could like collect more ephemera pieces and different things that you might want to use later in your pages and put it in there. And that's what she had done in the tutorial that I saw. So I love that idea. So that was my little mini photo album. And then for this envelope, I had another picture, and I was going to put it in here, but these were all old black and white, and this was actually a color one. This is of her wedding, and so I decided to put it on a different page, and I didn't have anything for here anyway. So her husband's a contractor, so I put this tape measure here for on it because it was basically kind of this scrap paper, and I just thought that looked a little more industrial, manly looking. So I did one of my rusted paper clips, and I'm just sticking the picture in there like that. And then this is a little binder clip, mini one, and usually they're just in black and metal, you know, like this one. But I found a whole bunch that were all silver, so it made them nice to be able to just antique those out so that they look old. So I just clipped that on the top just so she'll have another place to clip something. She can put it anywhere. And then this was just another little envelope with one of the little poems from the book. And then I did the paper on the back she can write on and then stick things in the envelope. And then I ended up, the one that wouldn't fit in here, it fit in here. And I'd already made it and I really liked it, so I wanted to use it. But it was just a piece of vintage wallpaper looking cardstock, and then I used the same from the die cut of this album. They had this one really fragile looking flower that looked like pressed flower, so I put it on there. And then I did another window envelope, and this is a picture of her dad from the Navy. And I made a little journal card out of that. And then I had already put this on cardstock to like write on the back. I was going to do something else with it. So I ended up just hinging it with washi tape so that she can open it and write something secret on the back or whatever. I thought that was fun. Okay, go back in there. Okay, and then the next page, we're getting to the end here. This, it was getting kind of full with all of these things were getting kind of thick, so I wanted to keep things here more flat. So this one I just decided I'm just going to leave it was already lined to paper for the insert that I had made, so I'm just going to leave it that way. And then if she wants to stick things on there or add photos or whatever, she can. And then I just made a little corner pocket that wrapped around to the other side. And then it was just a place to put more of the coffee stain scraps just to have to write on and tuck in there. And same with this side. So just keeping this one simple. And then this is the very back of the book, of the file folder again. So I just did one across here just because I was trying to kind of put a little decorative thing, like I said, but keep it flat. So I just used double stick tape and did it in the binding seam and then along the bottom so that things can just easily tuck in and out. So I just did some more paper and tags in there, and same in here, just some little tags. And then this is the surprise, a little fun surprise. So I made a little file folder tab here so before that. So this is another one of the little swivel things and another little phrase from the book, and then I put a picture of the two of us. And this was a new picture in color, obviously, but I did it in on my phone. I have a app that I can change photos to different things, and so you can add vintage to it, and so it turned into a vintage looking photo. But this was my first ever being a vendor at Three Speckled Hens, and she always helps me with those things. She's my junking buddy. So that was a picture that meant something to me. So I added that. And then this is the secret surprise. So it's like more places to write, and it's kind of a little origami fold out thing. So I just loved that when I saw it. Now when I that idea, and I can't remember, that's the one I have to find out. I don't even know who I got that from. I have to find that because when I first started doing all of this mixed media, it kind of started out with a mixed media thing, and it was because I was doing these books. What did I do with it? I was doing these mixed media books where this one isn't even finished yet, where I was taking old like Reader's Digest or old books and just making new cover, you know, painting and doing mixed media on the covers. And then this one I'm doing for myself. Then I did this paper folding thing, and I just started kind of learning about doing mixed media spreads and that kind of thing. So I had done this little window. Anyway, this will be a whole different project when I get to one, but that pop-out idea, I was gonna do, like cut it out and have them be recessed in a book. So that's kind of how that all even came about. And then when I was doing this junk journal, I thought that would be a fun thing to do at the very back of the book, just kind of one more extra surprise. So just to show you quickly, I'm gonna try to find that link because obviously she'll do a better tutorial, but I'm going to just quickly show you. So basically what you would do is you'd find whatever page you want to put that on. Okay, like say it's this one. You measure the biggest, whatever size square you want that to be for your pop out, and then you're just going to double that number to know what size to cut your paper. So if I'm doing a 2-inch, if I have 2 inches that I have space for, then I'm going to do a 4-inch square. So you cut 3 of those, and then you fold it one way, and then you fold it the other way. So I'm having 4 little squares there. Okay, and then you're going to fold it diagonally once, but you're going to do it the opposite direction. So like these all fold in, you're going to flip it over and fold it diagonally back. Okay, and then you're going to do that on the other ones too. And then diagonally back. And then the last one. Okay, so I have my paper folded. Now you can use glue stick or, you know, Mod Podge, whatever you want to use. I'll use glue stick this time, I think. So one thing I do whenever some idea like this that I know I'm not gonna, I know I'm not gonna remember later on is, I'm choking here, is I would make a pattern that I keep so that I can see how to put it together, because I know I'm not going to remember. So this is my pattern for this one. And basically I'm going to take one square and I'm going to glue the other one, the 2 bottom squares together. So I'm just going to take my glue stick and then I'm going to go, right? Let's see if I'm doing that right. No, I need to do this one. So these folds go this way. I want to do the opposite one for the next one. Let's try this and see. And then I'm going to glue the next one on the top. So this one goes on the top of this one, and then this one's going to go on the top of this one. And then hopefully this will work. So after you've done that and fold it all once, then it'll come in and out. It'll fold back and forth easier. Okay, so I have my stack, and I just want to smoosh it really good. and then you have your little fold out. So you could put it on your page like this. You could do it diagonal, you know, depends on how you want it to pop out. If you want it to come straight down, you would do it diagonal. So on the ones that she did, on the tutorial that I watched, she actually made them like a book on their own. So I didn't attach these, but basically you would attach the cover, the back cover to the last one and the front cover to the front one. And then that way when you open it up, your cover goes with it. I think just if I'm gonna put it in a book, I don't need the back cover. So if it's gonna be part of another book, like it was in my case, I just glued this last page right to my book. And then you don't have to have this be as thick. I just used cardstock in that journal so it wouldn't be thick. And then if you want to put it inserted into a book where it's recessed into the book, you would just take the book. See, this is my book. And I would just trace around a little bit bigger so that it fits. And then use an X-Acto knife and start cutting the pages until you're the thickness you need to be here. And then you can put glue on, like once you have that cut out, glue the edge, and so it keeps that all together. You can even glue it here, you know, to keep that section of your book pages together, like a little well. And then have your front card that you're gonna use to pull it out. You might make that a little bit bigger so it doesn't recess all the way. And then you would just, you know, glue that to the very back, and then you have your pullout. So I plan to do that on an actual book, but haven't done that yet. So next time I do maybe a series, I'll do one of these altered books that I've done. So I think that's it. I think that's everything. I think I've shown you everything. And I hope that you enjoyed this little series. And if you did, give me a thumbs up. And I'd love to see your comments. If you've been working along on your own project and have ideas that you've come up with, I would love it if you'd share those too. So I hope you have a great rest of your day. Now go make something. Bye.